How you doing? My name is Prince Paul. I am on the Scion AV All-Purpose Show. I am the host of the Scion AV All-Purpose Show, which features my co-host, Mr. Dead, Busta Bus, and TOC, the bartender. He likes to be called a mixologist. And the concept behind the show is we interview new artists, new rap artists. We did metal artists. We have interviewed horror directors. So it's a lot of people who you know, up and coming. It's legends as well, like Nile Rodgers, Too Short we've interviewed. And I like to say we kind of get a perspective of, you know, not just what's your latest song and what's whatever. You know, we kind of get into what are your influences, you know, how does this make you feel? What don't we know about you? You know? Oh, so we didn't know that you scuba dived since you was 2. You know what I'm saying? All little quirky stuff. And I like to see that as a learning tool, not just for, you know, the young kids who might be attracted to some of the younger, you know, the younger artists like the A$AP Rockies and the Riff Raffs, but the older generation who might have been fans of work I've done. It's an outlet for them to kind of learn to see what's going on too. And we make it fun. I initially had a show on XM called The Ill Out Show. And this was like, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. Wow, it's been a minute. To me, that show was crazy. It was nuts. And it was everybody who I've mentioned as my cast and then some. There was a few other cats. I was working with Scion on a project where I traveled around and I interviewed different artists, like same thing, like young artists, but it was more or less for an inspiration for me. It was me trying to be inspired by new music because, I don't know, I haven't made a record in a while and, you know, I listen to music and I get kind of, so let me talk to everybody. And that was the gist of that first thing that we did. So combining the fact that I hosted a show already and I've always was working with Scion already, they approached me with doing a late night format show. It's like, why don't you interview, especially some of the artists that Scion supports, you know, and does projects with. Why don't you interview them so people can have a good understanding of who they are. And, you know, I jumped at the opportunity, especially to get a cast of my friends along. And, you know, I like to challenge, man. If there's one thing you notice about me, I'll always challenge myself, you know. People get comfortable in this situation, I'll put myself in a situation where I'm like, sink or swim. And that's what life's about, man. Gotta risk it every once in a while. My vision for it is, like I said, one, to educate people. And I know a lot of times when you say educate, it turns people off. I don't want to learn nothing, you know what I'm saying? But primarily entertain people and keep them informed. Like I said, of kids that, you know, for example, I interviewed this kid named Vic Mensa about 2 days ago. I had no clue who he was, but he's dope. You know what I'm saying? And for people, especially who are my age, they're like, who is this guy? You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, all these kids, they're automatically quick to turn that off. Old school is the best school and nothing else exists. But to me, it's an opportunity for people to see how dope these kids are. And even my son, who's 22, didn't know. Well, he's 21. He'll be 22 next month. Didn't know who he was. So it's an opportunity, like I said again, for even to teach the younger kids, like, yo, check this kid out. He's really dope. And the fact that Scion has their ear to the street enough to get these people to, you know, say, hey, Paul, I want you to interview them, and we're doing projects with them or, you know, supporting shows, to me even amazes me more, because I'm like, I should know more than they should. You know what I'm saying? But it's a learning process for me as well, and it makes me appreciate the artistry. Scion, to me, has been great in supporting me. I mean, you know, I'm not the most popular guy in the world. I'm not the most least popular guy in the world. And the fact that they were able to recognize that I could somewhat carry the load of hosting a show, be entertaining enough to interview certain people. I mean, I got a chance to interview Cheech from Cheech and Chong, and I like to say I did it effectively. You know, George Clinton and certain people like that. For them to trust me with that, to me, is a very big deal, you know. And, you know, it's good to see people in your corner without having to, you know, okay, what's Paul doing now? You know, they based it upon just my history and, you know, and what I do. So, I really appreciate that. They can see the All-Purpose Show at ScionAV.com. You can put in the All-Purpose Show. You'll see me. You'll see the crew. You'll see the episodes that are available. And there's a bunch more. Whatever you see now, keep in mind, we're always editing new ones. So there's more and more shows to come. And if we're fortunate enough, there'll be more, way more in the future. And then I could while out a little more. As time goes on, the show gets a little more crazier, so it should be fun.